All right, well, welcome and thank you for coming to this brief presentation on the hidden power of Lingzhi medicinal mushrooms. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dale Anderson, and over the past year and a half or so, I have been branching out and working with folks to discover and talk about medicinal mushrooms and become very passionate about the natural health field. And really because of my own experience in increased energy, cognitive focus, and function as a mother of 2 young children, this has been literally a godsend. So this really, has led me to become a spokesperson for a fairly unknown but very effective area of superfoods or super herbs called medicinal mushrooms, and in particular, one called Lingzhi. From both a long historical perspective and a recent scientific perspective, Lingzhi mushrooms have been considered by many to be the most powerful herb or plant that we have on earth for reversing chronic conditions and helping people to live longer lives. And for over 3,000 years, it has been the most revered herb in traditional Asian pharmacology, and really has been known as the herb of immortality. And very few of us in the Western world are aware of Lingzhi, but that trend is certainly changing. They have tried potentially a vastly inferior version of it instead of the pharmaceutical grade potency formulas that are available that are coming out of Asia. And so really a lot of people who have tried a less potent formula have not really experienced the full result of what Lingzhi can do. So this presentation is really for those who are interested in their own longevity and to show you how to use this extraordinary superfood to improve specific health conditions. So in the next, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, we're going to cover a few topics, specifically what is Lingzhi? Second, what is the science saying? Third, we're going to distinguish what an inferior Lingzhi product would be from an extremely potent Lingzhi product. What is the average cost of a Lingzhi program? And what are different ways to start a program? So first off, a little fun kind of fungi background. Out of approximately 1.5 million fungal species on Earth, around 100,000 are actually considered or classified as mushrooms. And of these 100,000, the majority have no known human use or effect, but around 2,000 are considered culinary and used in cooking. And then there's certainly some that are absolutely poisonous or considered hallucinogenic. The smallest subset of mushrooms, though there's around about 20, are known as medicinal mushrooms. So you'll hear names such as lion's mane, king oyster, turkey tail, tremella. But out of these 20, the one that has the most attention from science is the one called Lingzhi. The scientific name for this particular Lingzhi species is Ganoderma lucidum, also known as reishi mushroom in Japan. And Lingzhi is the most revered herb in all of herbal pharmacology. For over 3,000 years, traditional Chinese medicine has called Lingzhi the herb of longevity and the herb of immortality. And my personal favorite is actually the herb of spiritual potency. And in all medical texts that go back hundreds of years, Lingzhi was universally described as a way to prolong life and helping the body remove subpar tissues. And by doing so, help each of the organs to function at a much higher level. In much of the ancient works that you'll see from history from those times, drawings would include Lingzhi mushroom to represent long life and health. And yet, as I mentioned, most people are very unfamiliar with Lingzhi. Even natural health practitioners and ordinary people who are used to herbal supplements as part of their regular health regimen. And so we ask, why is that? And really, this unfamiliarity comes mainly from 3 reasons. The first reason is rarity. And up until about 20 years ago, no one knew how to cultivate Lingzhi or grow it in any large amounts. This was true even in the best growers throughout Asian culture that were well aware of Lingzhi's healing powers. The only way to really get it was in the wild, and there was no way to control consistency, quality, or to grow enough volume. The second reason is a high cost. Lingzhi has always been the most expensive supplement to take, really largely because of how hard it was to find, and that it takes about 6 to 7 months to grow to maturity. And the third reason was the absence of clinical research to explain the stories and understand the testimonials that people were sharing. And as many of us know, that in the Western world, scientific proof is really what matters the most. But that's really now changing. Lingzhi is now the most studied mushroom in the world, with over 1,100 research papers and clinical trials in the past 20 years that are proving what traditional natural medicine has been saying for thousands of years. So those Asian medicinal mushroom companies have now figured out how to cultivate Lingzhi mushroom on their farms and no longer have to rely on finding it in the wild. Now, excuse me. There are some compilation websites that I'll mention at the end of this presentation where we have collected hundreds of Lingzhi studies that show more details on Lingzhi research. But here's just an overview, really kind of an astounding summary of the effect that Lingzhi fruiting body and its spores are proving to have on the human body. Really shown to be anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, anti-fibrotic, anti-depression, anti-insomnia, antiviral, the list goes on. And really shows to improve overall immunity, sleep, allergies, I can speak from personal experience, sexual and kidney health, adrenal and thyroid function. And as you may have noticed, this is basically the list of the conditions that slow people down and shorten their lifespan. And as they age, especially, the inflammation, depression, immunity, sleep, diabetes, different heart conditions, digestion, and cognition. And it's this list of cellular repair that I have been seeing with people over the past year or so that I've been working with medicinal mushrooms. And it's really why, I'm choosing to alter what it is that I do on a daily basis to help teach people about the power of Lingzhi mushrooms. So to really understand what we're talking about, it's important to take a look at a little bit of mushroom taxonomy. There are 4 main parts to a Lingzhi mushroom, and it's important to distinguish these parts because some have all of the effective ingredients and some are just pulp. So as you'll see, some of the most popular Lingzhi companies are in fact using the non-effective parts of the Lingzhi. So every Basidiomycota, which is a mushroom like Lingzhi, has 4 main parts. One is the mycelium, and that's the white filament root structure. The second is the stem. Third is the fruiting body, which most of us know as the cap. And the fourth is the spores, which are all found attached under the fruiting body cap. In the past 20 years, scientists have found approximately 400 active ingredients in Lingzhi. And all of these 400 compounds are found in the top cap and the spores. And all of the major studies, again, about 1,100 over the past decade, were done on the cap and the spores specifically. None of these studies use the stem or the mycelium. Furthermore, if you study any traditional Chinese medicine or walk down any Chinatown in the world, they will sell only Lingzhi cap. They don't sell Lingzhi stem or the mycelium. The reason that the studies and that the history and that these Chinatown herbal shops have never used a stem is because they understand that it is mainly just pulp. And the stem is similar to what we would consider the trunk of a tree. And the reason they don't use the mycelium is because these white filament root structures contain almost none of the 400 compounds. The few compounds that are found in the mycelium are only there in very small trace amounts, really about 5 to 15% overall. So why is it important to know this? Really, it's because currently all US-based Lingzhi supplement companies are manufacturing formulas made mainly of Lingzhi mycelium. Their finished product has virtually no fruiting body and spores, and while a few have just enough to be able to claim that they are using a mixture of the entire plant. So really taking a look at what that constituency is on the back of the label. Does it say mycelium? Does it say spores? So why would any company choose to grow and use Lingzhi mycelium if it was an effective part of the plant? And the answer is many, time, money, and expertise. Mycelium requires no dirt, no land, no farmers, and is grown in vats in a liquid medium. And so it only takes about 9 days for each batch to produce, and therefore it's very inexpensive to make. On the other hand, a fully mature Lingzhi mushroom requires about 6 months to grow and hundreds of acres of land, lots of technology, and a lot of expertise. If you do a search on Amazon, you'll see that virtually all of the most popular products that say that they contain Lingzhi actually only contain mycelium or stems. And that is why most Westerners have been fooled by these inferior products and therefore haven't received the expected results. So regardless of what you get out of this talk today, probably the most important is that if you want to experience what the science is showing and what Lingzhi can do for us, you really need to be using formulas that contain only Lingzhi fruiting body and the spores. So a little bit, out of the entire world suppliers of Lingzhi mushroom, there is one that stands out as the best, and by a long shot. They are the world's largest organic farmer, manufacturer, and formulator of Lingzhi. And in fact, 75% of the world's supply of Lingzhi mushroom comes from their farms. And in China, they've been known for decades as the king of Lingzhi. And their name is Alfei. Alfei is a 55-year-old nutraceutical biotechnology company, and it's recognized in Asia as the leader in growing research and development of organically grown, certified medicinal mushrooms. Alfei has also been the host for the International Medicinal Mushroom Conference in 2009 and 2013 at their 75-acre campus in northern China. So most people in North America have never heard of Alfei, and that makes sense because for their entire 50-year lifespan, Alfei has only existed inside the borders of China, building themselves into a billion-dollar creator of the most potent Lingzhi formulas in the world. And the only way that they market their products is through individual distributors working from their homes. They don't sell on Amazon or in natural food stores. But it's unknown quality of Alfei is changing, and Alfei recently launched in North America, and it is a small group of spokespersons and distributors who are really letting the world know about them today. Since its start, Alfei has been privately owned by one family. The current president, Mr. Chen, is a second-generation mycologist who as a child was taught by his father how to grow and harvest medicinal mushrooms. And by his 30s, he had established the leading mycology and herbal research facilities in Asia. Now, Alfei now employs over 70 top scientists and mycologists in the investigation of how medicinal mushrooms have such a beneficial impact on the human body. However, it's not their size that makes Alfei the best. As everyone knows, companies can be huge and yet make really inferior products. What makes Alfei the best in the world is that their focus and dedication to producing the most potent and most effective Lingzhi formulas in the marketplace. So let's look at some of the reasons that Alfei is the best Lingzhi in the world. First of all is potency. With any herbal formula, potency is what makes the difference between getting big results and getting little results. And there are two basic ways to increase potency. The first is to remove all of the parts of the plant that don't do much good. And as we talked about, the stem and the mycelium, those parts add to the bulk of each capsule and they don't offer any value. So Alfei does this by removing the stem and the mycelium and only using the top cap fruiting body and the spores that are locked in that cap. Alfei recognizes that Lingzhi stem and mycelium hold very little healing ingredients in them. So Alfei uses only the fully grown Lingzhi cap. Each Lingzhi mushroom is hand-picked from Alfei's hundreds of acres of farms, and the stems are cut off to within 1 inch of the cap, and then both the stem and the mycelium are ground up and used actually as fertilizer for the next growing season. The second way to increase potency is through extraction. And if you take a Lingzhi fruiting body, for instance, you dry it, you grind it, and then you put it into a capsule, that is 1-to-1 potency level. If you take that same Lingzhi fruiting body, steam it, remove the pulp, and dry what is remained, then you would get a 2-to-1 potency, 3-to-1, and so forth. So there are 4 extraction methods that can be used to extricate the pharmaceutical ingredients from a plant and increase its potency. The first is a steam or hot water. Second is an alcohol, which is how we understand is how tinctures are made. The third is enzymes, and the fourth is an ultrasonic extraction. Alpha uses all 4, and from this, they have developed a technology that allows each of their formulas to end up with between a 9-to-1 potency and a 20-to-1 potency. That means that for every 100 pounds of Lingzhi cap, you end up with between 11 and 5 pounds of finished product. And no other Lingzhi manufacturer in the world is coming close to this. As we discussed in number 4, the ultrasonic, that is a patented ultrasonic technology. In terms of purity, all of Alfei's laboratories are pharmaceutical grade, and other Lingzhi is certified USDA organic and kosher. They also pass what is called California Proposition 65, which is an extremely stringent test for heavy metals, pesticides, and herbicides. And as a side note, the small team of distributors in the North America market, they did hire 2 of the top testing companies in the US and had them test Alfei products for bacteria, mold, heavy metals, and pesticides. And their reports came back saying that the Alfei products were extraordinarily clean and free of contaminants. In terms of vertical integration, this is important because in business, if you own and control every aspect of product development, that is called vertical integration. Alfei is completely vertically integrated. So they own every aspect starting from the dirt, the farms, the growing areas, the extraction facilities, and the bottling plants. And this allows complete control over organic growing standards, purity of the products, and the ecological recycling practices. And with Alfei's vertical integration, it means not having to outsource any of their ingredients or their processes. And that means that no one can beat their price to performance. We really want to also talk about formulations, and that's the last reason that Alfei, in my mind, is the best Lingzhi out there, is their formulations themselves. So along with organic ingredients and high potency levels, Alfei utilizes 3 different delivery systems: organic tea, organic coffee, and a highly potent organic encapsulation. The tea is a 5 medicinal mushroom tea mixed with just a bit of black tea. So in regards to the tea, we have an organic Lingzhi, organic shiitake, maitake, king oyster, and agaricus blasi, combined with about 15% of black tea. It's really more maybe of a mushroom soup than a tea, and it's quite potent. Rich black coffee is a mix of organic medicinal mushrooms plus a powerful fungi called cordyceps. Cordyceps is becoming very well known amongst athletes for its effect, as well as its effect on immunity, and it's mixed with an organic dark roast coffee. And the last of the 3 delivery systems is our most potent, and it's the encapsulated Lingzhi bottles. Each of these formulas is based on what's called 5-element theory, which is the underlying architecture for all of traditional Chinese medicine. The underlying frameworks for traditional Chinese medicine, it organizes human health into 5 basic patterns or 5 pairs of organs. So let's look briefly at each one of those formulas. Balance is the center of the formula range, and its formula is most people use as a daily regimen. Calm your mind supports better sleep and is the best for stress reduction. Cleanse is the formula for liver and gallbladder and improving overall metabolism. Nourish for the lungs in terms of improving the immune system. Rejuvenate for the heart, which soothe for digestion. And that says soothe your mind, but it is soothe your stomach, which is ironic because I also find that soothe is probably the most calming for me personally. And then there's Revitalize, which is the only formula that has 1 for women and 1 for men. It was created to aid in kidney function, increase energy, and vitality. So those are the 3 Lingji delivery systems, and these are built for any budget. There are 3 ways to suggest starting a Lingji program. And the first is with a fully 8 to 10 week longevity program with highly potent formulas that use only the fruiting body cap. The general effective range is between 1 to 3 grams a day of encapsulated formula, and it works out to be about 2 to 6 capsules a day. And people may find that that varies depending on their specific metabolism. Each program contains 3 bottles of a Lingji formula and 1 box of tea. And the price point there for about $200, that's a full 20% savings if it was purchased separately. The second way is a sample 1-month program. And this is any one formula, balance, calm, soothe, rejuvenate, whatever it might be, plus a Lingji tea or a Lingji coffee. And the last way to start is basically just a beverage, a black tea, or a black coffee, or a Lingji tea. But the key is to start so that you can see what Lingji can do for your health. And there is an understanding that there is a Lingji program for any budget. So basically that brings us to the end of this, but really, if you do search for Lingji, you'll find hundreds of scientific studies showing Lingji caps extraordinary healing benefits on human beings. But one of the better compilation websites can be found at lingjiscientificstudies.com. So really that's it. I hope you found this useful with the world really now in the midst of what could only be called a longevity movement, with everyone wanting to live as long as they can, live as authentically as they can, as spiritually as they can. Lingji's herb of longevity, herb of spiritual potency, is a product whose time has come. So I thank you for joining us today.